Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here with round 5 of our F1 22 Haas Road to Glory. Yes, we return today for the Miami Grand Prix, of course the first home race of the year for the Haas Formula 1 team. And of course, if you missed out on the bumper episode that went live last week from Imola, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. Of course, we did the sprint race and the main event all in one video. They were actually two brilliant races with a lot of cool and very crazy moments as well. So yeah, this is your spoiler warning to go back and check that one out. But yeah, we've got a few things in the works at the moment. Hopefully we're going to get a new intercooler upgrade onto the car this weekend to try and push the performance further towards the top of the running order. But yeah, championship wise though, things shaping up pretty nicely at the moment. 1 point the lead we have over Carlos Sainz as we leave Imola last weekend. It really is, well, we had issues in Bahrain, but it does seem like every driver in Ferrari, Red Bull, and even ourselves to a certain extent, of course, have just had a race or so with issues. But then since then, you know, Saudi became P3, I think, or P2. Australia, obviously, we won that Grand Prix. And then Imola last time out, we won that Grand Prix as well. We've been on an absolute tear in the last couple of race weekends there. Things are falling into place. The car's becoming very well-rounded. Carlos Sainz, yeah, has probably been the most consistent driver so far, but a couple of fourth places have not done him any favours. But yeah, fingers crossed, as we head into this weekend, we can continue on this strong run of form. Maybe, just maybe, try and build up an early championship lead in the standings as well, as we've got a few other things in the works. Apparently some more cash and bits and pieces like that, and we might just be able to get the intercooler upgrade on the car as well. There's 480 resource points. Perfect. Love to see that before we jump into the weekend. Not too sure why we need to communicate with online services though, but yeah, can we try and get any more upgrades then onto the car before we head into this weekend? I don't think we're going to be able to do anything worthwhile. Yeah, well, we'll hold off for now. We'll keep trying to earn R&D points behind the scenes, but we officially have the fastest car in F1 at the moment. But Miami can often be quite an interesting track on F1 22. Right, well here we are then, qualifying for the Miami Grand Prix, and looks like the track has recently seen some rain, so track conditions are meant to improve as the session goes on. However, Sunday's Grand Prix is meant to be a very soggy affair, so at least, I mean, the harbour is going to get fully assembled in the end, as that part of the circuit probably going to flood out at some point here. But yeah, like I said, of course, the first of 2 home Grand Prix this season for Haas. We've upped the air already for the race, so we might struggle a bit in qualifying trim, but just needs to try and get that one lap nailed. And that immediately is not going to do me any favours. It's really struggling with rear end grip this weekend in this thing, and yeah, that just goes to show it, I think. Well, luckily, of course, the Haas Road to Glory still just uses a single qualifying session, so we should still get the time to do 2 runs here and hopefully push ourselves up towards the front of the field again. I sort of come into every weekend with no exact idea as to where the pace of performance is going to be. Like I said, this car is incredibly slippery, so it is quite fast when you get it hooked up, when it's all dialed in, but yeah, trying to just piece things together in free practice can sometimes be quite difficult. So let's see if we can navigate turn 2 this time round. A little bit wide off the curb in through turn 3 there as we try and hang on through those first couple of turns. That was a bit tidier, and we haven't damaged the rear wing this time. Through the next couple of corners, I must admit, Miami is a very fun circuit still to do laps round. Of course, no ad issues in real life with 0 grip off the racing line, but yeah, on F1 22, it is a very fun little circuit, to be honest. I think a lot of people don't want to admit it, but I'm more than happy heading out then onto the back straight. Looks like the slightly high downforce that we're running really helping us through that snail section. Purple in Sector 2 as we're going to start seeing a couple of cars potentially heading back out onto the circuit, but yeah, braking at the 100-metre board down in towards the hairpin there, perhaps just a little bit early that time round as we rattle over the curbs. Again, back end tries just to step out there, but we allow the car to slip just a little bit up towards the line. 27.1 puts us a 10th away from Charles Leclerc there on provisional pole. Max Verstappen P2, Lando Norris P4. 4 cars, 4 teams inside the top 4. Right, final lap, qualifying lap then here from Miami. We managed to get the banker in, but times are improving for other cars around us, so let's see what we can do as we head through turn 1, turn 2. They're attacking the curbs a little bit braver than we were last time around. A little bit of a wriggle on the back end as we head out the first couple of corners, down in towards the next couple of turns, down to one gear through the first part, down another through the second part. You can leave it in sixth as we head through the left-hander that never really ends, very reminiscent of some of the corners at Shanghai there, as we get the car nicely over the curb and just try and give us the best run possible as we head up the back straightaway here. Purple through sector 1, and we know we're quick through sector 2. It really is just the final sector that I tend to lose a little bit of time, of course, just because of how high winds we're running, ready for a full wet race tomorrow. But down then in through this snail section, try and hang as close to the wall as you dare. Just again, try and take it nice and easy. Attack the curbs through here. Make sure the back end stays in check though. Let's get the car rotated through the 90 left end and trying to once again roll on the power. We've lost a little bit of time through the middle sector. We really did get it beautifully hooked up last time round, but we're still up at the moment. We've got to just try and nail these final couple of corners. As Lando Norris down to a 26.8. Got no idea what the fastest times now are on the board. Much later on the brakes through the final corner. But we're going to be able to get on the throttle as well much earlier. We are going to improve by a couple of tenths as we get up to the line. It's P4 in the end of qualifying here in Miami. We just cannot seem to get one lap pace hooked up. Well, there we go. Max Verstappen, pole position here in Miami. Just 1,000th of a second clear of Charles Leclerc there. Lando Norris, a fantastic P3 ahead of myself there, with K-Mag joining us in at P5. But where on earth? Carlos Sainz down in P16 there, not able to get a lap hooked up. Similar story for George Russell, down in 15th as well. So clearly a few issues here in Miami GP qualifying. But yeah, starting on the second row, like I said, it's meant to be a very, very wet race ahead of us. Let's get into it, Miami GP. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like.
Welcome to the Miami International Autodrome, home of the Miami Grand Prix. This exciting track circumnavigates the Hard Rock Stadium, home to the National Football League outfit, the Miami Dolphins. Well, it's certainly not sunny here in the Sunshine State. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 19 corners and 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium. But these conditions should prove especially difficult for all of our drivers today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Mr. Monaco, Kevin Magnussen and Perez, Hamilton, Ricciardo, Gasly and Valtteri Bottas, Tsunoda, Albon, Esteban Ocon and Stroll, Russell, Sainz, Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, Joe and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. This is the team's home race. We're all relying on you to impress today.
Well, clearly Crofty wasn't interested in whoever he's in the commentary box with, giving him some insight before we get into this one, but a very, very wet race here from Miami. Remember the last wet race we had? Well, a proper Grand Prix wet race that we had in this career mode? That was Australia, and we did manage to win that one, so we'll wait and see what we can do here today. Not saying it's going to be exactly the same story, but maybe, just maybe, we can try and get another strategy masterclass under our belt. Like I said, we were strong through the middle sector, so fingers crossed that means we've got some good pace in the rain as well. But starting P4, Carlos Sainz, our main championship rival, way back down the order. I think now, of course, we've already learned early on this season, the key is going to be consistency, consistency, consistency. So as long as we just keep picking up, you know, top 4s, podiums, things like that, hopefully we're going to put ourselves in a good position. Gotta say, it is very, very good to see as well McLaren seemingly upping their pace early on in this season. You know, if we can try and get McLaren and ourselves battling with Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull at the front. 5 teams, half the grid, trying to battle for race victories could be quite interesting as we go through this season. And this is why I do believe consistency is going to be such a key focus in this Haas Road to Glory. A long old season ahead of us, of course, but still, you know, we can try and build up an early points lead, especially with sights down the grid. And we'll see what we can do. Let's try and make sure that we get a good start, though, here in Miami. Felt like a weirdly long formation lap as we try and just get the tyres and everything like that up to temperature. Got a nice big puddle on our starting slot, which is always nice. And we will pretty much nail that then. Just angled slightly towards the left-hand side there. So we head down towards turn 1, but waiting on Latifi then to round out the grid in his Williams. Only team with 2 cars inside the top 5. Let's see what we can do into turn 1 here. Obviously a very, very short run in towards turn 1 here in Miami. We're waiting on those 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. And actually getting off to a decent start there. Charles Leclerc trying to cover off from Lando Norris, and we'll try and look up the inside of the pair of them. So we head down in towards turn 1 there. A very, very robust move on Charles. And I might not be able to start in the dry on F122, but in the wet, I'd stand the chance there. 2 places gained at the first corner there as Max Verstappen already trying to break free at the front of the field. But what a start for ourselves here in Miami. And that one's definitely getting clipped, so I can prove to you guys that it's not every time I lose 4 places on the grid. But of course we know the AI can often go very, very aggressive early on in a race here, and often we tend to struggle, especially in the rain. Of course, we did win that wet race in Albert Park a couple of weekends ago, but that was just pretty much an accident. To be honest, it was not actually the plan to win it, or at least not the plan to win it the way we did. As you can see, Charles Leclerc still definitely got more top-end speed in that Ferrari car. Just got to be so careful of front lock-in as we head down in towards the hairpin for the first time in racing conditions in the rain. As you can already see Verstappen a second and a half clear up the road. Is he doing a bit of a Sebastian Vettel tribute early on there? Again, the car seems to settle really nicely. Who actually came there, but a boatload of understeer on the exit. And to be honest, a boat might be what you need around this Miami GP at the moment there as we head out onto the highway for the first time of 29. Max Verstappen still 1.2 seconds clear. Charles Leclerc just 6 tenths back there. Looks like K-Mag's lost the place to Sergio Perez a bit further back as well. I don't know for sure whether we'll be in the Constructors' battle this year, but points do certainly make prizes. As I mean, we were struggling enough through there in the dry. That corner's going to be a nightmare in the wet. As you can see, the car's still trying to break free at 150 miles an hour, 6th gear. Here comes Charles Leclerc. Oh, he thinks about it, but again, we just cover him off at turn 1.
Okay, so heavy rainfall, here to stay for a while. Doesn't look like it's moving on anytime soon. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Oh, okay. Mark's suggesting Inters are the way to go very, very early on in this race. Don't know how I feel about that one, as Max Verstappen's going to stay out there. You know what? He was absolutely right at Imola last weekend. We're going to try it. Very, very early call. Has just remembered suddenly that the pit lane entry was there. But yeah, interesting from the team then that they reckon Inters is the way to go. This is quite a big gamble to make very, very early on in the race. But I mean, we've got plenty of time to try and recover it if it doesn't go the right way. I mean, it's probably fairly close to the crossover, but if we've got a bit of an advantage, then I'll certainly take it. Just heading back out of the pit lane then. Again, let's just wait and see what we can do. But yeah, maybe now we're going to have a bit more grip and a bit more confidence. You just got to try and get these tyres up to temperature, remember, of course. But honestly, yeah, they instantly, I might take this back in a second, but these tyres don't feel any worse at the very least then. Look already, the time we're taking out the back markers. Like I said, the team made the right call last weekend to make a switch over to Inters. Of course, that was from dry conditions. Are we going to see anyone join us, though, on these tyres? As we're definitely taking a big chunk of time out of the cars in front. Are we going to see Verstappen in? No, we're not. So even if the AI do decide over the next few laps that it's worth it, we might be able to get an undercut on the Dutchman in the lead of the Grand Prix. Of course, it will depend how things go later on, and if the circuit gets wetter again. But yeah, we might have to pull off a lot of overtakes, but if we've got an advantage, then surely that becomes a little bit easier. Very, very weird start to the Miami Grand Prix. Well, there we go then. Mark still believes we're going to see a lot of heavy rain for at least the next few laps, so it might just be a case if the AI were planning on just doing a normal stint on the full wets and then potentially thinking about going inters later on. But yeah, track conditions are definitely moving around. We'll get one lap where these tyres will take a good couple of seconds out of the cars in front, and then another lap where we'll struggle a bit more. But yeah, really just don't know what we're doing against Max Verstappen at the front of the field, but we've just got to try and start making inroads as yellow flags out for someone in the middle sector. Let's see who's meant to be going slowly then, apparently. It's Pierre Gasly out of the Grand Prix there. So not what Gasly will want in a virtual safety car. That's not going to do me any favours. Haven't had one of those in a long time, actually. Now I come to think about it, is that now going to mean we're going to see cars peeling into the pit lane, taking a bit of a gamble? Doesn't look like it at the front of the field. Verstappen again, still staying out. As so is everyone else. So there we go. Going green flag racing once more. Just like kept it in the delta there, but we did take good time out of Zhou Guanyu and Mick Schumacher there just in front of us. Now we've got to start trying to make some moves though. And that's going to be very, very difficult because of course the AI are naturally going to stick to the drier line. And I've got a lot less grip on the completely wet stuff. Yeah, I do definitely believe, looking on the mini-map, we are taking a bit of time at Max Verstappen at the front of the field. So I think, yeah, we have, well, wait and see yet whether this was the right call to make. You can just see, as we head through here, even off the line, we're still able to match the cars in front of us. As Zhou Guanyu had a rough qualifying session yesterday. Very, very slow through the chicane there, as he will just chop off my nose. The one corner, which is always the same, whether it's wet or dry, is always out of there. The AI, you can't do anything about it. That corner in the final traction zone, the AI just ridiculous here at Miami. I mean, the problem, of course, now we're facing is if we can't get past some of these slower cars, then any tyre advantage we might have, of course, is being immediately negated, because I can't imagine Zhou Guanyu is matching the pace of Max Verstappen at the front of the field. Up the inside of Zhou Guanyu, really having to try and cadence brake there. Oh, as we slap the wall on the exit of the corner. Somehow get away with that one. It must have just been tyre face on the wall, but a very, very aggressive move on Zhou Guanyu. But the AI just have so much grip there. We can't even go flat out through that final corner. And the AI can just commit to it every time. Zhou Guanyu tries to keep the nose up the inside, but again, we'll just be able to outbrake him. Mick Schumacher, our old teammate, next up, but I think now we can safely admit this might have been a bit too brave of a call too early in the Grand Prix. It might just be a case that now everyone's got one stop to go, myself included, and we're fighting from the back. Right, let's see if we can try and get a run then on Mick Schumacher as we head down the back straight here, closing in on 1/3 distance in this Grand Prix. We're often pretty good on the brakes down at the final corner. But that's another place where we can clearly make moves then. Past the Williams, up into 17th. Still nowhere near where we need to be, but even if this one just ends up being a recovery back to the points, make sure that we at least give the team something. Oh, big wobble there as we go full send over the curbing. But next up, Nicholas Latifi in the second Williams. Can we try and hang close to him as we head out onto the back straight once more? Verstappen a 41-1. That time around for the Dutchman, finding more and more time in his Red Bull. We are certainly not matching that, so this has not been a wise call early on. Just not the finest. Even attempted a move there. Luckily, Latifi doesn't really get affected by it, but just could not get the car slowed down where I needed it. Because again, don't know how I'm not picking up front wing damage. It's definitely on, but just such a lack of grip there. The wet physics on F122 definitely need a bit of a change to the force feedback, because you just get nothing. And the AI, of course, are just, well, they've got traction control, but effectively, you can't do anything against them. However, we might be able to pull off a carbon copy move on Nicholas Latifi to what we did to his teammate just one lap ago. As Max Verstappen is definitely pulling away from me still at this stage of the Grand Prix at the inside of another Williams. Just so I get the car slowed down to the apex, use the short shift up just to rotate the nose through, and there we go. He's 16 then of this Miami Grand Prix. Still not where we need to be. Next up, Stroll and his Aston Martin. We've got both Aston Martins next up. Let's see if we can try and pick them off. We'll try and get up and under Lance Stroll, even if it just compromises run off the corner. That's what we might just have to... We've just got to use every trick in the book at the moment. I know some of you probably aren't a fan They're just those cheeky little things you can do against the AI, but honestly, at the moment, we have to go for it, because they've just got a lot of cheeky things they can do against me. Is that the back straight will go? We'll have a look to the inside of Stroll this time. Oh, the Aston Martin runs deep. I would thought he seemed too late on the brakes there, and we'll go up the inside. He'll try and turn into me off the corner. Oh, you can just see both of us sort of struggling for grip at the final turn. Yeah, and that Stroll, though, just going to be able to put the power down in that Aston Martin. Are we going to be able to have a look around the outside of turn 1? Still got a much, much faster car than Stroll. And there we go, another move pulled off. P15 now. Back hours here in Miami, but we're almost at the halfway stage. This has been a tough old race so far. It's really difficult on the brain and the body, especially after that bad strategy call. Just really takes your confidence back. On more yellow flags out, it's one of the Red Bulls going slowly. That's got to be Perez. That might be Sergio Perez at the Grand Prix, and this could be beautiful for us if it works out to be a safety car. We could desperately do with it, Sergio Perez. Of course, I think still P3 in the Drivers' Championship. Is he actually retiring from the Grand Prix, or is he just running slowly? Seems to have an entirely intact car, so I can only guess that he is in the process of breaking down. Looks like he's stopped now. There we go. Perez out.
Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
Oh, it's another VSC though. I'm tempted to box back onto full wets now, but that's so frustrating. If that had been a full safety car, that could have given us a massive helping hand. Let's go and get rid of the Delta. There we go. Yeah, now we just got to hope that we can get on a full set of wets again before that VSC comes in.
Okay, heavy rain is staying with us for a while now. At least a 20-minute window of heavy rain. Inters seems to be the fastest tyre for now.
Mark's still saying Inters are faster, but I just do not believe him. Heavy rain meant to be here for quite a while longer as well. As we head into the pit lane. Just got to make sure that we get the car slowed down nice and tidy. There we go. And yeah, now, like I said, we've just got to pray this VSC stays out for as long as possible as we head through the pit lane. Of course, every other car is likely going to have to box. And once in this Grand Prix, we're already in for our second stop of the day. It has not been a fun afternoon so far. Right, let me go. 2.3, that's pretty good, but yeah, we've just got to keep our head down and focus and just damage limitation, like I said. Definitely got to break more than that on pit exit. As there we go. That's actually worked out pretty nicely timing-wise.
We get the green flags. VSC ending. Wait for the greens.
And just make sure car up to temperature. And let's go once more. Hopefully now we'll have an even bigger advantage over the back markers and try and actually pick our way through. There we go. Verstappen and Leclerc both into the pit lane as well at the end of 14, so it probably would have been wise actually for a lot of them to box last lap if they were planning on coming in anyway. But what tyres are they going to be going on to? That's the real question, as Lando Norris now will inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. We immediately go purple through the middle sector, so it is quite clear that we have got good pace in the car. It's just been some really bad tyre choices up to now. As if they were all switching on to Inters, I'm going to go absolutely mental. Because they're definitely not quicker for me. They're going to be quicker for them. I'm going to be very upset. This looks like we're all staying on the wets, but of course because we pit under the VSC, we should get a bit of a jump on a few of them. There's definitely a lot more grip on these tyres as well. They're up ahead now with Esteban Ocon. They actually might not be in too bad a position here. Between Ricciardo and Ocon, we might be back up in the points already. Once everyone else is pit, of course. We're not that far back. So what we want to hear, heavy rain is here to stay as we went purple through sector 1, green through sector 2. So like I said, we definitely have got some good pace still in this car at the moment. Let's wait and see if we can try and set a new fast lap of the day. We'd always happily take a bonus point if one's available to us, as out the final corner will go. Just trying to put the power down once again, as now, yeah, we should get a good idea of where we're going to re-emerge in this Grand Prix. 140 flat. That's about a second faster than anyone else has gone this afternoon, so quite clearly we do have some pace. There's now back up into P8 then of the Grand Prix, ahead of both Alpines. That's worked out quite nicely for us. There's a long way up to the cars in front, but we're back ahead of Sainz, of course, who is still our main championship rival. Yeah, even if we were to finish sort of 5th or 6th, we would still, I think, mathematically hold on to the lead of the championship, because Verstappen is about, what, 16, 17 points back?
Overtake button and have a go. Come on, you can do this.
just see, of course, that about 10-15 seconds that we saved by pitting on the VSC has pretty much jumped us past all of those cars in that big old train there. As here goes Ricciardo around the outside of Bottas, down in towards the hairpin. And we almost were able to get a run on the Australian out of the corner. They're trying to capitalise on a battle that I don't think either of us are even aware we were trying to get involved in, as we head back up through the chicane once again. Tidy line on the way in, try and get the nose there. Ricciardo having none of it though. He's still going to try and attack the curbs, and we will get underneath him off the corner. Now we're drag racing the McLaren as we head down the back straight there, but much superior grip off the corner. But look at the straight line speed. Clearly McLaren still opting for a more dry setup. At least less aero anyway, as up the inside will hang on the brakes. P7, now ours. Bottas struggling to put the power down though as we head what is technically one of the other back straights, but there is not a lot that is straight about this section of the circuit, as we might be able to get a run on the flying fin as we head down in towards the next corner. Up the inside of Bottas will look very late on the brakes, but we got the confidence. And we will get it slowed down there, compromise our run off the corner, but we got the inside through the snail section. Now, why on earth that section of corners is the way it was designed, I will never quite understand, but 6th place once again, 8 seconds up to Hamilton and K-Mag. It might be a quiet second half of this Grand Prix after a lot of action in the first, but I mean, we're definitely still quicker than those cars in front. There's again 2 more green sectors so far this lap. But that gap is coming down lap after lap at the moment, as we are the only one, I think, below the 41s, and we're in the 39s here. We've really got our mojo back at the moment. Honestly, the pace feels reminiscent of what it did at Imola in the dry last weekend, so I'm so gutted that we made that strategy gamble early on that didn't pay off for us this weekend. I mean, you win some, you lose some. That's just the nature of Formula 1, but yeah, let's just try and put it behind us, because there is still, honestly, quite possibly the chance of a podium. So we're just a little bit wide there that time round, but we get the car back to the apex and then wedged over that curbing on the exits. 8 seconds to K-Mag and Lewis. 10 laps to go with this Grand Prix. Lando Norris a few seconds further up, but we're going, like I said, over a second a lap faster. Oh, look at that, 39.4 that time round. Out to Hamilton under 5 seconds. 8 laps to go, remember, still 9 laps to go really, and you include this one that's barely begun, but you can see through those first couple of corners we're still pushing quite hard. It can still go pear-shaped, but I just want to try and pick up as many points still. I'll be honest, there's a little bit of anger fueling us on at the moment. Anger with myself, but we'll see what we can do. Well, we finally closed up to the back then at Hamilton. 6 laps to go here from Miami. Track conditions are definitely improving. There's still nowhere near enough to think about any switching of strategies late on in the day, especially with the nightmare we've had on strategy calls so far this afternoon. We could have, honestly, we could have been quite easily at the front of the field still with the pace we've shown later on in the stint. We would have probably just pit under that virtual safety car, built up a gap, and then since then, yeah, probably would have just been quicker than the front runners like we have been. But whoa, Hamilton! Whoa! I wasn't even trying to go for a move. Hamilton just big lock up there, and just sat a car's width away from the apex and will slip by. Up in a P5 then of the Miami Grand Prix, so we're almost back to where we started here, despite everything that's gone on. K-Mag not too far up the road, but honestly, I'm eyeing up Lando Norris, 6 seconds clear. 5 laps to go. We've got yellow flags out. One of the Williams. I'm not a betting man, but I'd be inclined to believe that's Latifi having some issues late on in the day. But looks like he's been able to keep it going. Let's try and get past K-Mag and see if Lando's going to be catchable by the end. Even if we've recovered to where we started, to be honest, that's probably a win. But of course, K-Mag's... Thanks, Mark. Just as I'm about to start talking about something important, Mark's telling me irrelevant information later on in the day. What I was about to say, of course, was Kevin Magnussen's return to Formula 1 got delayed by an extra year, based on the fact, obviously, Haas brought myself in alongside Mick Schumacher last season, and so far he's you know, been decent. He's been respectable, but certainly hasn't been up to our pace as we head through the chicane. Once again, they've got to be really careful, though, battling our teammate, of course. Number 20 on Kevin Magnussen's car, 21 on our own, but I'm hoping by the end of the year we could have the number 1 on this car, though, as you can just see top end speed now. Certainly not as advantageous as it was against the back markers. Just down in towards the final corner. Kevin Magnussen will hold firm once again, but maybe we just need a little bit of team orders late on in the day. I still believe it's an ever decreasing, but a slim chance still that we can try and get Lando Norris by the end of this. But Kevin Magnussen clearly has been told we are going to race for it. This time around, though, we should be close enough to Kevin Magnussen. 4 more laps to go here in Miami. The gap to Lando Norris over 5 seconds still. If we can get past Kevin Magnussen before we head into the snail section, then this is not over. It's going to have to be quite a brave move on our teammate. To the inside we'll go. And we will pull it off, though. Up now into where we started this Grand Prix. 26 laps for exactly no progress whatsoever is kind of depressing to think about, but yeah, let's see if we can try and close up to Lando Norris in the dying stages there. Tap those curbs. Hopefully we'll nudge the wall there. That was not part of the plan, but you can see immediately how much the delta can come down by when we get it nailed. Let's go. 4 more laps, really 3. We need a second and a half a lap, though, against a McLaren that is becoming increasingly competitive. Sweat mode is going to be needed. More yellow flags out. Down in Sector 3, it looks like it's one of the Alfa Romeos. I'd be inclined to believe that's so quite new. We might have run into some issues, but again, seems to be able to recover it. There's a lap and a half to go, 3.6 to Lando Norris. I think this one might be all but over. As Max Verstappen then round in the final lap of this Miami Grand Prix to finally get his first win of the year on the board. It's been a tough start for Max Verstappen as well. There's Charles Leclerc, who's running up in P2. Of course, 2 drivers that you expect will be duking it out for the crown right from the get-go, but their number 2s really came in strong to the new year there. Perez, of course, winning that opener in Bahrain. Carlos Sainz and myself locked into a big battle in Jeddah. It was the Spaniard who walked away with the win there. Of course, we've taken 2 wins since then. But yeah, Miami has been a tough old race, and like I said, to be honest, had we made the right call, it would have probably been right at the front, maybe with a bit of a lead, to be honest. But that's the way racing goes sometimes, and I do find it quite funny that after 29 laps of racing, no one in the top 5 has changed places. It's only because Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix that Hamilton has moved up into 6th as well. So, I mean, we've had a fair bit of action, a fair bit of, not controversy, but certainly interesting moments this afternoon in Miami. But yeah, weirdly enough, of course, P4 and a Haas, a home Grand Prix would often be something to write home about, but not this weekend, sadly. We definitely had the pace to win, but fingers crossed we've still got a fast car when we get to Kota late on in the year. There, attack the curbs. Miami has often been an up and down circuit for me on F122 so far, struggling still just to gel with it in some ways there. And yeah, the AI's pace is just really ramped up late on in the day. But Max Verstappen is going to get his first win of the year then here in Miami. Charles Leclerc hot on his heels in P2, but fair play to the Dutchman, finally back to winning ways that we've all come to know and expect in the world of Formula 1. Lando Norris, fantastic podium for McLaren as well, and will come through 4th to 4th in the end. It doesn't look that exciting on paper, but to be honest, it was a pretty good recovery.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And that's the checkered flag. What an amazing victory in what has been a great Miami Grand Prix. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack, and having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sports that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They pushed and pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
Let's move on to the constructors. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Miami Grand Prix, and like we said, it is Max Verstappen there, a fantastic victory for the Dutchman. 1.3 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc at the checkered flag there. Lando, myself and K-Mag, like I said, top 5 finished where we started, but we did pick up the fastest lap bonus point. So to be honest, to only lose like 12 points there is not bad going at all. Hamilton, Ricciardo, Albon, Ocon and Sainz rounding out the top 10 there. George Russell couldn't even recover the points there when all is said and done. Gasly and Perez both not seeing it through to the checkered flag either. Means championship-wise, yeah, gap at the top opens up. 13 points now clear of Carlos Sainz there. Max Verstappen up into P3 ahead of Charles Leclerc as Perez gets shifted all the way down into P5. But Lando Norris as well, he's been very consistent early on. 48 points there for the McLaren man is a very, very good haul there. Lewis Hamilton, Kevin Magnussen, George Russell, Albon rounding out the top 10 there. Gasly, despite not finishing, jumps 3 cars on countback. I don't quite know how that one works, but fair play, Codemasters. Constructors-wise, though, Ferrari still lead the way, but 19 points now separating the top 3 teams as McLaren, by virtue of how consistent Lando Norris has been, they're actually now ahead of Mercedes after the opening 5 races of the campaign. There's still only 6 teams have scored, though, so far in Season 2 of the Haas Road to Glory. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourselves subscribed as well, and we will return very, very soon when the Haas Road to Glory takes us to round 6 of the year. We'll be back soon for the Spanish Grand Prix. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.